Some people have seen where God has brought you from. You don't really understand it. They don't know your story.
Hello, and welcome to You Don't Know My Story, a monthly television show talking about things that are going on in this world and with our special guests that we'll have for today. But I want to begin the show with, as you know, the pandemic is still raging. It's still going crazy. People are now talking about not getting vaccinated. Well, I'm vaccinated. I'm covered. But I'm just talking about the ones that are saying that they're not going to take the vaccination. The ones that are saying they're not going to take that second shot, they took the first shot, all because of the J&J, the problems that they had with that. But you look at it, they did 3 million shots, and out of 3 million shots, 6 people had blood clots. We did lose 3 people in there. But out of the 3 million people, 6 ain't bad. I mean, we don't want anybody to lose their lives through this, but 6 is not bad out of 3 million. Well, also, we're going to talk a little bit about the shooting of George Floyd and the trial that they had. Well, they did find him guilty on all 3 charges. You know, and it's a shame, even with that, right after that, we still had massive shootings. You know, for whatever reason, you know, cops just seem to want to shoot people. But, you know, we have to kind of try to hopefully get the laws changed where, you know, they're going to have to be more courteous of what they're doing and what people are doing. You know, just because you drive away, that don't mean that you got to get shot. Just because you run away, that don't mean you got to get shot. You can always go back and pick that person up at another time, another day. So a person does not have to lose their lives over, you know, because they decide to want to run. But with that, all the stuff that's going on. Matter of fact, there's one more I want to talk about. I want to talk about what's going over in India. They just had 3,400 people that passed away in a week. Matter of fact, not even a week, it was a day they passed away. They're so overwhelmed with what's going on in the world that they can't even bury the people. They have to burn them. You know, it's a shame that, you know, that's how we got to go. But some folks are just not doing what they're supposed to do. I wear my mask. I don't have my mask on during the show, but I do. When I'm in the public, I'm at the grocery market, anywhere I'm at, even though I'm covered, I still wear my mask because everybody else is not doing what they're supposed to do. So I can't trust somebody else. I have to trust myself and do the right thing. With that, we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Kim Bramlage, and I'm proud to tell you about Five Rivers Health Centers. Five Rivers Health Centers is a nonprofit, independent community health center in the Miami Valley. We formed our federally qualified health center in 2011 and have grown to 8 locations in Montgomery and Greene counties. Our health centers are centrally located in Dayton and Xenia, near access to public transportation. Our mission at Five Rivers Health Centers is to provide access to quality, comprehensive, and respectful care for our patients and community. Regardless of your insurance or your ability to pay, you can be a patient at our health centers. And we offer insurance enrollment assistance as well as a sliding fee scale for the uninsured. Our focus is to provide primary care to patients of all ages and to be your medical home. We believe that our community will be healthier if everyone has a primary care provider, and we strive to create a long-term relationship with our patients. Our goal is to partner with patients on their health care, to prevent illness and injury, and to help our patients avoid the emergency room and stay out of the hospital. The clinical staff and providers at Five Rivers strive to give our patients comprehensive care. That means that each patient has access to not only their primary care provider, but also our pharmacy, social workers and mental health professionals, dental center, specialty clinics, as well as programs, services, and other resources that are unique to a community health center. Infant mortality is a huge concern for us here in the Miami Valley, and we want every baby to reach their first birthday happy and healthy. Toward that goal, we offer special programs to our pregnant women and new moms, such as Healthy Start and Centering Pregnancy and Parenting. These grant-funded programs allow our patients to enjoy fun group prenatal sessions and allows them to earn incentives such as diapers, gift cards, and much-needed baby items. Patients who participate in these programs frequently deliver healthier babies who are born full-term rather than preterm. In an effort to bring health care closer to those who need it, we are opening 2 school-based health centers in early 2020. The Dayton Public School Clinic will be in Roosevelt School on West 3rd Street. The Trotwood-Madison location will be in the Administration Building on Snyder Road. Both of these health centers will provide comprehensive medical, dental, behavioral health, and vision care to students, families, and community members in West Dayton and Trotwood. Five Rivers Health Centers is one of the best kept secrets in the Miami Valley. Now that you know about us, please consider becoming a patient of our community health centers. We look forward to having you or someone you know as a patient and partnering with you to get healthy and stay well. More information is available on our website, fiverivershealthcenters.org.
Okay, we're back. Now, my guest for today, he's an author, he's a motivated speaker. His name is Darious Stevens. He was born in Dayton, Ohio. He attended Dunbar High School, and he also went to college at Wright State University. A little bit about Darious is he resides in Dayton, Ohio. He has won numerous liberal awards, featured nationally in the news, and sought out motivated speaker. Darious is a director of Midway Group for Racial Reconsideration, and he's also a founder of Jeremiah 29 and 11. He also serves as an advocate for the adults and juveniles in the court systems, interacting with judges and police department. Mr. Stevens is involved in group concerning the welfare and literacy challenge and stopping human trafficking. The author firmly believes the quote by Blake, "Evil prevails because good men sit back and do nothing." He serves as a mentor, a personal consultant to citizens, entertainers, and athletes. He wrote a book, and the book is Just Another Nigger. A nigger, suspenseful, thrilling page turner, highly recognized by Hollywood Academy Awards, Oscar winners, athletes, and celebrities. And this is Darious Stevens is a well-known person. I got an opportunity to meeting him, and I needed to have him on my show. So without further ado, Mr. Darious Stevenson.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
All right, brother.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Glad to have you, man. From the little bit that I'm reading about you in your bio, you seem to have done a lot of things. So without that, as I explained to you, I don't ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
I like for people to tell their own story. You can tell your story in your way, how it began, where it took you, and where you are at today. So the floor is yours. Look at your camera and just go to work.
All right. Well, God has really blessed me, and to be candid with you, although things are been in overflow, before I even talk about the book, it didn't start that way. I think Aristotle once said, those who have seen things from the beginning have the best view of them. I started out born in Dayton, Ohio, as our host have told the audience. My father was over the computer division at Wright Pat second shift, and my mom was a nursing assistant. They went to a church in West Dayton, and quite frankly, I didn't have a relationship with God early on. I think I saw my family one year walking up to the front of the church, and I was a young little man and young boy, and I followed them. And next thing you know, I was accepting God. I didn't even know what I was accepting. From there, I really just lived regular life, went to Wagaman Elementary School, played sports. From there in high school. But the thing about it was I never developed a relationship with God. My parents were great people, but I was never forced to go to church. I was a bad little boy, and I would stay home and watch big-time wrestling and eat pretzels and drink coffee. And to be quite candid, I didn't see a church until when I graduated from Dunbar High School. My church gave you $25 if you graduated from high school. So when that was the only reason that motivated me to go to church, was to get that $25. And a lot of people that knew me when I was a little boy, that was the first time they see me probably in 15, 16 years. And they forgot my mother and father did have another son, the one that didn't go to church.
Okay.
From there, in terms of school, Dunbar, I went to Dunbar. I went to the first year of the segregation at Belmont, went back to my home neighborhood of Dunbar High School, played football, basketball, tennis, was on the college preparatory curriculum, went to Wright State and excelled at the university in pre-med. And then I think shortly thereafter, then things changed. I excelled in terms of my clinical background, so I would recommend anybody who is going into the sciences, if it's your interest is medical, to make sure you have a skill to back you up. I was a phlebotomist, ortho tech, surgical tech, EMT. Ultimately, I became faculty at Wright State, teaching microvascular laboratories, teaching residents how to repair blood vessels in rodents, which was so important in relation to plastic and reconstructive surgery. If you have to do a flap after a breast reconstruction, that's the techniques come from, or if a limb is cut off. I was teaching that in the laboratory.
Before we, I don't mean to cut you off. Before we get into a lot of that, now I heard you say you was a bad boy.
Yes.
Now, when you say bad boy, what do you mean when you say bad boy? Because we grow up. I mean, all of us didn't come from what you call not saying loving family, because I know your mother and father loved you. So, but when you say bad, in other words, you was a bad kid.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree with you, because one, bad isn't always committing crimes. Bad is sometimes doing things and you just don't get caught.
Right.
Okay. As well, bad is being a disobedient child.
Right.
Bad is not following the ways of God.
Right.
That's bad. And in my particular life, what led me to God, to be quite frankly, because I was never had any desire to go to church. When I got after being successful as faculty at Wright State, and after graduating from Wright State, I got accepted to Rochester Med School.
Okay. Let's hold that there for a minute. I'm still trying to get through this bad boy thing.
Yeah.
When I say bad boy, in other words, I was a bad kid.
Right.
And when I say bad kid, in other words, only thing that I didn't do was commit crimes.
Okay.
But I was bad. I mean, you know, I played in the street. I did all those type things.
Right.
So when I say that, and I don't mean that you was a bad kid to the point where you couldn't be controlled by your family. I'm just saying the stuff that we do as kids and how we got out of that. You know, I went to church with my grandmother. I never went to church with my mother. I always went with my grandmother. But I'm just saying that My grandmother and my grandfather were the most important people in my life other than my parents.
Right.
They were my parents. But my grandmother and my grandfather is the ones that I was around. You know, I grew up around my grandmother on my father's side. When I used to go and spend the weekends, I slept with my grandmother. I ain't sleeping no other bed. I was up under my grandmother. She taught me things as far as growing up was concerned. In other words, it was like I used to watch her cook.
Right.
And I used to love to watch my grandmother cook. And she always told me that I want you to learn these things because when you get to be an adult, I don't want you hanging out at, well, McDonald's and them really was just starting. So, but she was talking about other restaurants. So she wanted me to learn by watching her and be able to cook for myself. You know, so that's what I did. I don't need a person to cook for me. I know how to cook, and I cook very well. And, you know, some of my growing up stages in my dating years, people that I was dating that had children, they used to love when I come over because they say, he gonna cook. So you know, but I'm just saying, as a child growing up, I mean, and I don't mean you was a bad kid.
But-
We did bad things.
Well, yeah, Mr. Cortez, I think doing bad things, but not being able to listen to authorities, which is one of the great demises in our society. If my parents couldn't get me to go to church, and I didn't want to really listen to teachers, and I didn't respect law enforcement, you develop anger, and that's something that it's not good for a society, because if society functions by, even though so much is going on, by being able to function in democracy, to be able to function, if you can't listen to our true leaders, ministers, teachers, your own parents, and it starts at home, then it's going to be major problems. So I think that's why I say bad. I mean, bad from the standpoint that being disobedient is the gateway leading to everything. So that's what I mean by that.
Right. Okay.
So my humbling experience was after my mom developed cancer,
Okay.
after I got to med school, and even though I didn't show roots of it, family was always important to me. I left med school to come help my dad take care of my mother. She had gastric cancer, and it was pretty bad. And I remember with my background, firing all her doctors, and the cancer went away. And I remember the cancer reoccurring, and that's the first time in my life I ever prayed. I mean, you know, I'm in my third decade, and I never prayed. And I said, and I didn't even believe in God.
Okay.
And I said, God, if you exist, take care of my mother.
Okay.
And what messed me up was he answered. She had been in a coma for almost 30 days. She woke up and she was talking about going home. And I knew where she was going, I wouldn't go where she was going right now, because she was full of fire after being in the fetal position. That was the step that changed my life. My mother lost her life, but I found mine.
Okay.
Meaning that I had a fire that all of a sudden started going to church, and I had to stay there. Wednesday night Bible study, church going on Sunday, and if I was loose in morality, I still started going to church. Didn't stop. And I remember a preacher once after 2 years, because I refused to join because I was not an angel. He said, "Why don't you join?" He said, "I'm not fit." I told him I'm not fit for the gospel.
Okay.
That I'm unclean in my life. He said, "Well, just go. Come as you are."
That's right.
And then if you are drinking, maybe you won't, in time you won't drink. You won't cuss. And then basically that's what happened, because when my mom was ill, I was drinking absolute vodka like it was Kool-Aid. You know, I was an impaired med student. And I think that began to change, that began to let me walk into the ways of God. And one thing I would tell anybody that's listening to my story, just because you have a fall from grace, whether by scandal or whether it's through design, you lose your job, factory closes, don't mean it's over. because God tells us in Jeremiah 29:11, He knows the plans He has for us to get a hope in the future. I refuse to do anything medical, anything. I just, even though I had the skill set, it reminded me of the combination chemotherapy that my mother went through. So you name a job, and I probably have done it, from factories to fast food to you name it, because I believe a man that don't work don't eat.
That's right.
And I'm probably the king of the temp service, meaning that I might work a day, get fired, and I'm asking what you got next. And I probably owed the record for a number of jobs, and they said, and they will always say that we hire you because you'll show up, regardless of what happens.
Okay.
Bible says, ask and it's given, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall open.
That's right.
Eventually, I found my niche.
Okay.
And I believe there's a lot of artists out there. There's a lot of people who are writing books. I don't think a person, it costs. It costs to be a painter. It costs to do a novelist. It costs to travel. I think you need to develop some type of skill to keep you going. And that's what I had to do. It's just not about the books, although now I've been featured on CBS and on newspapers. It's not just about that. It's about always being able to maintain until things fully take off. And that's what I recommend for any student, any adult, any mother that's listening to me, or any young man. Have a backup plan.
Okay. Sounds like a winner to me. Well, look, we're going to come back to your story.
Okay.
Right now, we'll be right back after this, and we'll be coming back with Miss Tina Mobley, and she'll be singing Betsy by Golly Why. We'll be right back.
Food is so important to us. It is integrated in so many aspects of our lives. When we celebrate holidays, we invite family and friends over for a homemade meal. When there's a time of celebration, we have food catered in. We gather over dinner to talk about our day with loved ones, and we work hard to make sure our families have the food they need for healthy lives. But what if you're struggling to buy food or make ends meet? What do you do to get by?
If you find yourself working for low wages or working part-time, if you are in between jobs, if you're elderly, disabled, or homeless, then you may be eligible for food assistance, like SNAP.
SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program and is formerly known as food stamps. It helps struggling families and individuals afford food at the grocery store.
SNAP helps cover your costs for groceries and can be used to buy fish and meat, fruits and vegetables, cereal and bread, baby food, milk, and even seeds to grow your own food. If you'd like to check your eligibility for SNAP, the Food Bank can help. Call us at 937-461-0265, extension 18, or visit us at thefoodbankdayton.org/OBB.
So many of us are just one crisis away from needing a helping hand.
Reach out so you and your family have enough food on your table.
Again, call us at 937-461-0265, extension 18, or visit us online at thefoodbankdayton.org/OBB.
Because no one should go hungry.
There's a spark of magic in your eyes. Candyland appears each time you smile. Never thought that fairy tales come true, but they come true when I'm near you. You're a genie in disguise, full of wonder and surprise, and betcha by golly why, you're the one that I've been waiting for forever, and ever will my love for you keep growing strong, keep growing strong. if I could, I'd catch a falling star to shine on you so I'll know where you are. Or the rainbows in your favorite shade to show I love you, thinking of you. Write your name across the sky. Anything you have to try, and bet you by golly why you're the one that I've been waiting for forever. And ever will my love for you keep growing strong, keep growing strong. Bet you by golly wow, you're the one that I've been waiting for forever. And ever will my love for you keep growing strong. Oh, keep growing strong. I bet you by golly wow, you're the one I've been waiting for forever. And ever will my love for you keep growing strong, keep growing strong. Bet you by golly wow, you're the one I've been waiting for. And ever will my love for you keep growing strong. Oh, keep growing strong. Bet you by golly wow, you're the one I've been waiting for forever.
Miss Tina, thank you so very much for that beautiful, beautiful rendition of Betsy by Golly Why. We ain't done with her yet. She'll be back with another song. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to You Don't Know My Story. We're talking to Mr. Darious Stevens about what's going on with him. And we left off, we're getting into the later years of your life, going to college, and the other things that you've done, the writing of your book. So we're going to pick up there, and we're going to take it from there. So we're going to start off with the college, Wright State, and everything that you went through, you know, working for, going to school to be a doctor. So we'll pick up from there.
Yeah, I went to a school up in New York, basically because in town I spoke up against some corrupt doctors. And even though it was a blacklisting, God has the last word. I went to New York, which Rochester, one of the top medical schools. But as I was saying, my mom developed cancer. And all of a sudden, after she went to remission, after it reoccurred, I transferred to Wayne State. Went there and was a impaired med student. I would drive home from Detroit, Michigan, so many days a week. I had a background in faculty, and so some students, I was like a rejected student. Mm-hmm. I didn't share my pain.
Okay.
No one knew what I was going through. Wayne State was gracious, and I withdrew, and then my mother passed. Mm. After she passed, I was driving back to Toledo to go back to school, and I decided that I don't want to be a doctor. It had been way too much over the years, and as soon as I got to Toledo, which was 1 hour away, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew me being a doctor wasn't, and it's not something I could do. I don't think you should be a minister, or I don't think you should be a doctor, just my personal opinion, if your heart isn't in it.
Right.
And my heart was no longer in it. So then I began a journey a jack of no trades or multi-trades, the king of getting let go of jobs. But just because you get let go, you pick yourself up.
Right.
You keep fighting. I think Micah said, "Don't let my enemies rejoice. If I fall, shall rise." Rise. One bad bout don't mean the game is over.
Right.
I mean, were there ever some times when I thought it was over? Of course. There was times when I was in a house with no heat and no water, but my attitude has changed from the old days. I remember lifting up some sausage from Bob Evans, and it's not that ain't a sponsor enough of here, but and some toast, and said, "God, I don't deserve this." And I remember when the furnace was out, and it dropped in my spirit that winter's here, but spring is coming,
Okay.
giving me hope. Long period of time passed before I started to write. Writing was a miracle. Being a scientist in the old days, I toyed with the concept of writing. Finally started to write, and I won a national writing contest.
Okay.
And then I entered an international contest, and then it exploded. Next thing you know, I'm on CBS, The Jordan Rich Show, 38 million people in Canada, and it was new to me. I'd never been a public speaker. They said I was a good writer, so I think that sometimes you got to fake it till you make it.
That's right. That's what they say.
You got to fake it till you make it. So what I did was, in speaking in front of large groups of people, I put a smiley face on one quadrant of an auditorium, one dead center,
Okay.
and one on the right-hand side.
Okay.
And I said, what do dynamic speakers do? I don't want to be boring. I said, they get behind the podium, and then they speak with fire and passion. And that's how it started for me. Just Another Nigger's global release is a book that is about a black lawyer named David Williams who doesn't like black people. He struggles between good and evil and the real meaning of the N-word. He's unjustly convicted of homicide by a corrupt prosecutor. I believe that there's a lot of black people that don't even like our own people. Without going too much into the book, imagine, and this is commonplace, there's a time in the book when he sees some little black kids on a suburban block, and he wants to know, what are those little niggas doing out here? It's not a unique story. It's something that happens all the time, and as black people, we have to learn to love each other, which often we don't. We've been through a lot since being free. There was a time that we battled each other when we were even in slavery. Who's the better black person? You in the field or you in the house? There's always been a division, and that's where we are. We're often like the children of Israel, wandering and lost. So I think in the world we need to show greater love for each other and greater love for ourselves.
Well, you know, that's another topic that I was just getting ready to get into, and I'm glad you brought it out. His book is called Just Another Nigger. Now, you know, I have a hard time with that word, but it's being said. It's said throughout the music industry. But for him to write this book called Just Another Nigger, I didn't get a chance to really read into it, but I wanted him to tell his story about it and how he came about. He started, but I want him to tell us more about the book of Just Another Nigger.
As I was saying, it's about a black lawyer that doesn't like black people, and at the time the character is a black man that's embedded in a white world. Later on, some adversity happens in his life, and he struggles between being a black man in the white world and finding an affinity for his own culture. And I think a lot of people go through that. They're black on the outside, but they don't really love their culture. I really believe that one of the points that's a sub-point of the book is, regardless of how far you go in life, you can forget your blackness, But a time may come, whether you're a famous celebrity whose name I won't call, but you're going to find your blackness when the rubber meets the road. They're going to let you know that you're just another nigga. When the Dodger great Jackie Robinson was going to play in pro ball, a manager of the Dodgers, he didn't want to, but he was forced to. He raised this question: is a nigga even a human being? And I think that the reason that we have so many, whether it was Emmett Till, whether some of all these massive black killings that occur, is because that in their minds, some people have equated that blacks are not human beings. And these bad cops, they're an aberration, because I want to make sure we have some great cops out there. We need police in order to enforce laws. Authority is godly ordained. And I think that any movement in history that we've had toward equality, it's been a long road, a huge long road. But whether it was the laws of Jim Crow, whether it was the civil rights law of 6491 amendment, whether it was voting, whether it was housing, it was achieved by blacks and whites working together to achieve this in the face of corruption.
I guess I'm getting a better picture about it and getting a better understanding. I would really probably enjoy reading the book. I see a play in the book. I'm a playwright. You know, anything that comes out with something, first thing comes to my mind, boy, that would be a good play.
Well, you're more than welcome. And I think that as we look at our lives now, I was in a restaurant south of town. White teenager, when I was leaving, he said this to me. Breaks me up to say this. He said, "Sir, you have a good evening." My great-great-grandfather would never heard the word sir. I have friends of all races, and if I'm downtown drinking coffee, we're in a world where nobody's often not paying attention. But it was a time when that would be huge and big. And it's just that we have made strides, but there's still so far way to go. Not only from the racism that we face from outside, the self-jealousy that we have in our own selves.
Right, yes.
Black on black killings. The fact that black men don't respect women, and so easy to utter the word hoe or bitch often, not all the brothers, but some.
Right.
Or what a black man goes through, just being totally real. Black man will go through it as tries to be successful. He will go through it not only from mainstream society, he'll go through it from his own race.
Right.
He'll hear that you'll hear some women say black men are no good.
Right.
And you'll hear some people, some men refer to that cat in jealousy. I won't use that term on TV any further, but you know, we all know what BAN is, right? It's commonplace.
Right.
So you have all these things that are piled upon you, and the only thing that can help you keep your mind and your focus on your destiny, I believe, is Jeremiah 29:11. That you have to have a relationship with God, and that's been the key to my strength. I think that's the key. That has to be the key to someone's strength out there that's trying to make it, knowing that God has the final say. As long as you hold on to his hand, you have a shot. Right. And without that, it's just murky confusion.
Yes. Now, as I read in your biography, it also said about you being a motivated speaker. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, when the opportunity came for, when the opportunity came with the book and TV, my passion is helping poor juveniles in court. And I think several athletes and celebrities have embraced me from a mentoring particular standpoint. But one of my major passions, it's not always about dollars, it's not always about public speaking. I'm a certified law back tutor. Literacy and strength in mathematics are the key and gateways to a future. I believe that we have to give back to these poor juvenile young men and these young ladies that catch criminal cases and often they can't afford an attorney. A lot of times the media portrays the glorified thug life. But I remember when I used to do a lot of clergy visits downtown, and those same boys that are so tough are fearful when they face the strength of a criminal prosecution that can put them away forever.
Right.
So I think that we need to have more mentoring. It starts at home, though.
Yeah.
It starts with the home. And in situations where, it's easy to say that, though, but a poor mother that don't have the strength to control a man-child, we have to find ways in order to, whether it's the church, Big Brothers, we have to find a way to make a difference.
Well, let me ask you something. Yesterday, Sunday, I happened to tune into they was doing a thing on DMX, and the funeral and everything that they was having for him, and I heard some things, man, that I was surprised. I shouldn't have been, but I was. Some of the things that they were saying about him. Farrakhan called him a prophet. He said that even though he had demons in his life, because we all got demons, and he had a struggle, but he still was a prophet. He began to talk about all the men in the Bible who went through stuff, alcoholism, cursing, killing, different things like that, and they end up being, they followed Jesus. And when I was hearing all the things that they were saying, he got proclamations. I mean, he got a proclamation from the governor, the mayor, all these people. I mean, they had the proclamation letters and different things. And I'm saying to myself, all I knew about him was he was a thug. That's how they portrayed him, and through his music, that's how they portrayed him. But they also said he was a very smart man. He even said it in one of the documentaries that they were showing about him, how as a young boy he read a lot, and how he was mistreated. He was mistreated by his mother, but what came out of it was he was a bad boy, like we were talking about, but he was also a religious guy. Even though you look at him and you say, not him, but he was. Every time, before he would do interviews, he would pray. Before he record a record, he would pray. Even when he was doing podcasts and different shows like that, they showed him praying. And he had the love of God in his heart. It was just the demons that was within him, And a lot of us go through that. I went through it for a long time. I had a demon I couldn't get off my back. But then I started understanding God a little bit more and getting involved in churches and stuff like that. And I don't mention a lot of it on my show because it's we try to keep things separate, But I'm a minister in my church, but I can't serve two masters. When I'm in church, I'm in church. When I'm doing this type of show right here, I'm doing the show. So I try to keep them separated because I don't want people to get the misunderstanding. Well, how are you going to be a minister, but he's living in the secular world, But this is what I do. And my TV show, You Don't Know My Story, is about people coming on telling their story, their life story, their ups, their downs, everything. So, and we all have it.
We do.
We all have a story to tell.
And no one can really judge the heart of a man. God sees the heart.
Right.
We see the outside. And I never had the pleasure to meet DMX, but it's obviously that he embraced Christianity, and that for his Rough Rider followers,
Right.
that was a seed.
Right.
That's how I look at it. It may not be conventional, but there's more than one way to draw a person to Christ.
Right.
I'm going to tell you a situation I went through when we talk about Christianity and who's a Christian. I was stranded once on 3rd Street in Dayton, and I thought I was trying to be fashionable in GQ with a little dinky little pleather leather jacket on, right? And I had a prayer partner. We would pray every Wednesday. We would go to a burger joint, and one week I would buy, next week he would buy. My best friend, he would always say, "Hey man, praise the Lord." I called him, and I said, "Hey buddy, I'm stranded. Can you come get me?" And he said this words to me, caught me off guard. He never talked this way in all the years of knowing. He said, "Nigga, I'm in bed with my wife." Oh. Right there was a young man, somebody I wouldn't normally deal with.
Right.
His hat was on backwards.
Right.
He had all those gold chains on. He didn't have good ones on like you. He had all kind of messed up chains, right? Pants hanging off his rear. And he said, "Old school. Pop the hood." He said, "Pop that bitch." Talking about the hood.
Yeah, I understand.
And I did. And he said, "It's your alternator." And then, so, okay. He said, "Where you live?" And I told him where my house was. And he said, "I'm going to follow you home. It's going to stop. I'm going to jump you when it stops. And I'm going to get you in front of your house." Played out like he said. After I got ready to pay him, he said, "No, I owe the universe. This is a free one. Who was the real Christian? Who had more of the traits?"
Right.
It sort of go back to the Good Samaritan situation when the people that should have helped didn't. So I don't think nobody can judge DMX.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody can give him, any human being, all that accolades,
Right.
because we all have fallen short of God's glory.
Right.
But no one can write him off as not being sincere.
Right.
That's my take on it.
Yeah. I mean, it touched me. It really touched me yesterday, because as I was watching the funeral, and his kids was speaking about him, because you know he had 13 kids. I think, I don't know if it was 3 women or something. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But all of them was there. And the ones that were able to speak and the ones that weren't able to speak, they still came up on the stage. And one of his kids' mother, she got up there, and I mean, she said some of the greatest words that I ever heard a woman talk about a man. You know, especially if he's messing around on her and all that kind of stuff. She didn't say anything negative. Everything was positive, that what she said about him. And the woman that he was supposed to marry, that she didn't even know he was getting ready to propose before he had that heart attack. You know, she got up there and she did the best that she could without, you know, breaking down too much. But all in all, like I said, man, you know, we be surprised of the accolades that we get from people. When I was living in Harrisburg, one of the congressmen got a chance to meet me, and he liked, you know, he liked what I was portraying. He even sent me a proclamation.
See, that's awesome.
You know, and I'm mad because when I was watching that yesterday, I started thinking about mine, and I couldn't find. In some ways, it wasn't. So, you know, and I was looking at it, but it's just the fact that people see you for who you are, you know, and your self-worth, you know, because for a long time, man, I was like, you know, is anything ever going to happen good for me? You know, and, you know, just coming through this television station, DATV, you know, I mean, I've been into this business since 1982 between my plays and different things that I was doing. But it seemed like when I came to Dayton, Ohio, the doors began to really open for me, you know, because, I mean, I did stuff for a long time, and it didn't go nowhere.
I know what you mean.
So, but, you know, I just thank God for what he's doing in my life. You know, the devil still try to ease his way in, but, you know, God has blessed me truly. And with that, I would just like to say thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your story. I know there's more to it. You know, we can't tell a whole story in an hour. You know, it takes more than just an hour to tell a story. But I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
God bless you.
Thank you.
You keep doing what you're doing, and maybe we'll get a chance to do it again. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with my girl, Tina Mobley, and she will be singing Missing You. And this is going out to, I'm going to say it now because I'm not going to get a chance to say it later. This is going out to all the COVID victims, the people that we lost, our family members, your family members, and this is a song for them.
Since you've been away, I've been down and lonely. Since you've been away, I've been thinking of you. Trying to understand the reason you left me. What were you going through? I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. When I look around, as I look around, I see things that remind me. Just to see your smile makes my heart fill with joy. I still recall all the dreams we shared together. Where did you run to? I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. Sometimes I wonder, I didn't understand just where you were trying to go. Only you knew the plan. I tried to be there, but you wouldn't let me in. But now you're gone away, boy. I feel so broken-hearted. I knew the day we started that we were meant to be. If only you would let me. I cried so many tears, got a face with all my fears. We let love slip away. I need you, boy, here today. I'm missing you. Why did you have to go away? I'm missing you. I'm missing you today. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Why did the road turn? I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. Why did you have to go away? I'm missing you. I'm missing you. I'm missing you.
Lord have mercy. I love you. All right, right. Tina, thank you so very much for that rendition of Missing You. I know the people in heaven are just, oh God, your family, my family, the people from the covert, people that lost their lives. Thank you. Really, thank you. I'd like to bring Mr. Darious back out, but I would like to thank y'all both for coming on. Tina, you know you my singer. You know you my show singer. So you'll be here all the time. But I just also want to let you know that Miss Mobley has a TV show. It's called Real Talk with Tina Mobley. And she comes on, I can't say the time that she comes on, but we'll send out the information when her show comes on. But please tune into her show. It's a inspirational story. That her show, she has some very good guests. So I just want to say thank you all once again. Remember, you don't know my story. Every Sunday at 4 p.m. and Thursday at 10 a.m. Tune in.
Some people have seen where God has brought you from. They don't know your story.